couple months. A lot has gone on, but I'm back with another video. So my labor and delivery story and what happened with my 22-hour long labor. First, what had happened was, so it started off, let's see, I was 38 weeks and 5 days, I believe, when I went into labor. So I had her 2 weeks early. So let's see, so it was like, yeah, the last month, and then you go to the doctor every week. So I was going every week, and then I went that week, I believe maybe 4 days before I went into labor was my doctor's appointment. And then they said I wasn't dilated, so I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll have her on my due date. And the doctor even said, she was like, oh, you'll probably have her on your due date or maybe after, like, because I wasn't getting any, like, pains or anything, like, that felt like, okay, maybe I'm going to go into labor soon. So I, last month before of my, like, pregnancy, I, was walking a lot, like walking around the block, like a little, like 10-15 minutes probably, and I was going up and down. In the backyard we have like a dock, so like for boats and stuff, so I was going up and down that, like a ramp, so it was pretty steep, so I was going up and down that. I was doing squats and all this stuff, and then doing exercises, because I looked it up a lot. Like, I was so scared, so I looked it up a lot, like what should I do, like how to prepare myself for labor, and because I was like so nervous. And then so yeah, I was doing everything that, like, on YouTube videos there was like exercises. I was doing a lot of squats and like those little, like, in circle motions. And I was like holding onto it, so you like hold onto a chair or whatever, like something sturdy, and then you just move your hips around and around, and I guess that like helps labor be more smooth somehow, like opens up your muscles and stuff. So I was doing that. And then 2 days before I went into labor, I started getting really bad back pain, and then like cramps. But it was, I mean, it wasn't so bad, but it was just, you know, like, I haven't felt that my whole pregnancy, so it was like I noticed there was a different type of pain, but I didn't really mind it, because also too, like, while I was pregnant, all I did was look up, I looked up, what is it called, on YouTube and Google and everything. All I did was just look up, oh my god, all I did was look up, like I watched a lot of labor and delivery stories, a lot, like on YouTube, like, yeah, a lot of those. And like I looked up on Google what to expect when going into labor. How do you know you're going into labor? What does it feel like? What to do while you're in labor? Like, all these things. And then that's all I did, because I didn't work, so all I did was just lay down and just look up, watch videos and look up like on Google. And I had like this mom app and asked so many questions. It was probably so annoying. I went to the doctor for everything. That's pretty much how I was. So I looked up, I watched a lot of YouTube videos on like labor stories and whatnot, and birth videos, and a lot of girls said like it's the worst pain ever. You're gonna feel like you're dying, like your insides are getting ripped out, like you're like, you'll know you're going into labor. So I, like, you know, in my mind I prepared myself for the worst pain ever. Like, I literally thought, okay, so like it's gonna be the worst thing. So and on top of that, I can like handle a lot of pain. Like, I'm really good with pain. So I'm like, okay, I think like if I feel like I'm dying, then I'm in labor, you know. And but on top of that too, I always thought like, okay, maybe I can handle it, like who knows. But a lot of girls were like, it's gonna be so bad. So, you know, in my mind I was like, alright, so it's gonna be the worst pain. So that's all I thought. So whenever I felt like little cramps and stuff, I'm like, oh, this is nothing, like it hurts but I'm able to handle it. So I was like, you know, I'm fine. And then on top of that, a lot of girls also said too that they like it was like the worst pain they were feeling, and they felt like they were dying, they were crying, they couldn't walk, they couldn't do all this stuff. So they thought they were going into labor, and when they went into the hospital, they're like, you're not even dilated, or you're 1 centimeter dilated, you're 2 centimeters dilated. And like, you know, the baby could have came like hours or weeks or even months. And like some girls, the baby came like weeks later and they thought they were like in labor. So they're like, you know, like they just sent us home because they're like, this is your body just is preparing you for labor. So I always thought too, like, yeah, maybe I was thinking like, I'm not trying to go to the hospital because I have these little cramps when I'm able to handle them. So I was like, I'm not trying to go and get sent home. And so that's what I have always, you know, like prepared myself to, and like had in my mind like, okay, so, you know, it's gonna be the worst pain. So that was that I had in my mind, you know, just to get ready for the pain. So yeah, 2 days before I was feeling some pain, but it wasn't as bad, so I was like, you know, it's fine. And then, so especially those days, I was just walking and doing so much more exercises than usual. I was drinking all these teas. I was looking online how to boost up labor, because by then I was like, get this baby out. Like, I wanted her out. I had a lot of back pain like during my pregnancy, a lot of like nerve spasms and stuff, so that was pretty bad, and going pee freaking every second. So, you know, I wanted it out. I was just so impatient to meet my baby, and I was like, just wanted to meet her and get her out. And so I was like looking up like all these remedies, natural remedies, and like I did like cumin seed tea, which was nasty. I drank like some other teas, cinnamon tea, and like other things they said to eat. I did. Nothing worked. For a bit, yeah, I was feeling like cramping, and then it went away. So I was doing all this stuff. And then, so the day I went into labor, I woke up, I went to the bathroom, and I noticed, when I went pee, I noticed my like mucus plug came out. Sorry, it's a little TMI. But so I was like, oh my god, and like I freaked out. I was like, oh my god, dude, like what is going on? I think right away I called my mom and I told her, and she's like, well, are you cramping or anything? And I was like, no. She's like, oh well, you know, sometimes that happens weeks or days or hours before you go into labor. So, and this was, you know, I'm already 2 weeks before I have her, so I'm like, okay, maybe it's like my body's really getting ready. I'm gonna have her soon anyway. So then my boyfriend was sleeping, and then like I woke him up and I told him, I was like, my mucus plug came out. But I don't think he knew, like he didn't know what it was, but I explained to him. He's like, you're lying. And I'm like, no, really, like, and I think he kind of just like didn't really know like what that was or anything, so he's just like, oh, okay. And then that day I was feeling cramps, like contractions, like it was not really cramps, it was like a tight, like a sharp pain on my lower stomach, like my abdominal area, and that's how it was. It was just like a sharp pain, like I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of like cramps, but a little harder, and like just in your whole bottoms of your stomach. So that's what I was feeling. And so it was like throughout, like it came like every 10 minutes, like little pains, and then it went away, came, and then, but I was still like able to do stuff. I like made breakfast and I was doing things, but you know, like when I had the pain, I kind of stopped a little bit and I just like breathed, and I was like, okay, and then I went away and I was doing stuff, but it wasn't bad. So my boyfriend had work that day, and he's like, well, you know, should I go to work? I'm gonna go to work. I'm like, yeah, it's fine, they're not really bad, like I'll be fine. And plus I was gonna be home by myself, so I'm like, yeah, I'll be fine, you know, if anything I'll call you, just keep an eye on your phone. So that day I was feeling those pains, and then I walked for 45 minutes that day by myself, and I guess what I was having was contractions. So in between contractions I was walking, I like stopped to grab my stomach. People were looking at me because I was like in pain, you know. And I walked, and then I came home and I exercised. I did squats, I danced. I literally danced. They said if you dance, like, it can speed up labor. What else did I do? I just walked up and down the stairs. I walked up and down the backyard ramp, like, for hours. That's all I did all day pretty much. And then the contractions got a little more closer, and then but they still weren't bad. Like, the pain was like from a 1 to a 10. They were like maybe a 5. Oh, and so yeah, they weren't really bad. And then what happened then? Oh yeah, so they were getting closer. They didn't really hurt much. So then it was around, and then I called the doctor just to see if, you know, maybe those were contractions. And they were like, yeah, you know, that sounds like contractions. If they're like 7 to 8 minutes apart. So they were like, you know, you're not in labor right now. It can be like that for weeks or a month. But once they start to get at least maybe 5 minutes apart or like 3 minutes apart, then that's probably your like inactive labor. So I was like, okay. And then so I just thought like, all right, maybe she's gonna come in a couple weeks. And then so then my boyfriend came home from work. He came home around 10, I believe, or 11 at night. And then the pains were still there, but I was still doing stuff like just, you know, going about my normal day. And then what happened? I was going about my normal day, whatever, and he came home. And then I went to the bathroom, like, we're talking, and he's like, well, do you think you're in labor? Like, what should we do? And then I'm like an hour away from where I wanted to have the baby. Like, I wanted to have her in our hometown, which is an hour from where we live. So we were like, should we drive down there, you know, like, just in case? But then I was like, I don't want to go there, and then what if they send me home? And then who knows how long we're gonna be there? Like, what if we go there and it can be days or something, you know, and he has work. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not trying to stay there, but I don't want to go and then get sent home. So so then I went to the bathroom. So at first we were like thinking like, okay, what should we do? Like, should we just go and I call into work? And I'm like, no, I don't know, it's not really that bad of pain. So then I went to the bathroom, and like, I sat down and then like just a whole bunch of water came out, like, so I was like, I thought my water broke. I was like, oh my god, I think my water broke. So I told him. He's like, well, what should we call a doctor, you know, let's like call the doctor. I called my mom. I was like freaking out. And then the doctor's like, well, yeah, it sounds, they asked me questions, and like, well, yeah, it sounds like your water broke. They're like, so you can come in, but they're like, since your contractions are still far apart, you don't need to rush, like, here. And I was like, okay. They're like, yeah, so you can take your time, you can eat, you can take a shower, and like get here. If they speed up, then, you know, come faster, but they're like, you can take your time. So I was like, okay. So I took a shower, and then on top of that, we're like, me and my boyfriend were sitting here like for hours, just like, should we go? I'm like, I don't, like, if my water broke, I'm still gonna probably just be sitting there, like I'm just gonna be sitting in the room, you know, like waiting, and who knows how long it's gonna be till I have her. So I was like, I don't know, like, I'm not trying to just sit there, like, I'd rather go when I know she's coming. So we were just sitting there for a long time, like, thinking, and like, should we really go? And I was like, whatever, we'll go, we'll take our time, we won't rush. So what's wrong? What's wrong? And we packed our stuff, and then it was probably around 1 in the morning we left, 1 or 2 in the morning. and we stopped at McDonald's. We wanted to eat, and then we drove there, and about the time we got there was around 4. That was about the time we got into the, yeah, around there, around 3:34. So we drove there, the whole time my contractions, like, so the bumpy ride was like, there was some bumps on the road, and like it was making the pain harder when the contractions would hit. Like I was like, and I was like holding onto the little rail thing, and I was like, oh my god. But they weren't really bad. Like they were still the same, but like the bumps and stuff kind of, you know, made it like harder. So then we drove there, and I was like thinking, oh my god, like what if she just pops out while we're driving? And then we got to the doctor with that was another lady that was in labor. So she was like crying, walking, like holding her stomach and like grabbing onto the walls, and I was just like, I literally like walked to the like front of the hospital. She got like a wheelchair and everything. She was like in pain, and then I walked, and then the doctor that was down there, like, you know, giving wheelchairs and stuff in the emergency, was like, do you need a wheelchair? Are you in labor? And I'm like, oh yeah, like I think my water broke. And they're like, do you need a wheelchair? I'm like, no, I'm fine, like I'll walk up there. And then on top of that, because I wanted to walk more, like to kind of like speed it up too, so we walked to the elevator, went in the elevator, it was the 3rd floor, and then that girl was in front of us. So then they asked her like, are you in labor? She's like, and she was like crying, you know, in pain. So then they seen her first, and then they told me, you know, to wait there. So they got me a wheelchair just so I can sit down, and we're sitting down, and I'm just there. And then they're like getting that girl, like rushing her because, you know, she's crying in pain. So they're rushing her to the room. They rush her to the room, and then it's our turn to sign in. And then they're like, you know, like, are you in labor? And I'm like, oh, I think my water broke, and like I'm having contractions. And they kind of like looked at me, like they gave me like a rude kind of look, like, you're not in labor, like you just walked up here, and like, you know. So it was like, well, yeah, I called you guys and you guys said to come in to take my time. I called about 3 hours ago or whatever. And they're like, okay, and they're kind of just rude about it, like thinking like, you know, she's not in labor. Rooms are full right now, all the rooms are full, so you have to kind of wait. So we waited. I was like, fine, whatever. And then they kind of just kept looking at me because I was just there like talking. I was like on my phone talking to my boyfriend, like whatever, you know. And then so then they got me into a room, and then they were like, okay, you know, we'll check to see if your water broke. And then so they checked, and they're like, oh, your water didn't break. So I was like, great. And then they're like, but we'll see how many centimeters you're dilated. So they checked, and they're like, you're 5 centimeters. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I looked at my boyfriend, and I was like, oh my god, like what the hell. Like I did not think I was gonna be 5 centimeters. I literally thought like maybe my water broke and I was like 2-3 centimeters or something, if that. So I was like, oh my god, dude, like 5 centimeters. So we were like freaking out. We're like, oh my god. And the doctor's like, we're tripping out too. They're like, oh my god, like, you know, you're 5 centimeters. And I was like, what the hell, like that's crazy. So then we were like, called our moms and everyone, like, mom, I'm 5 centimeters. And she's like, oh my god. So she rushed over there to the hospital. My grandma came, like, and everything. And then so yeah, I was just like, dude, like she can come within the next couple hours. So it was just like a shock. And then it was already like 5 o'clock already by now in the morning. And then so yeah, then, you know, I was just there trying to rest. My boyfriend fell asleep because he didn't sleep for like that whole day, and then, you know, came home from work at 10 and like was up taking me to the hospital and stuff. So he took a nap. And then, you know, family was coming throughout the day to visit and like whatnot, say hi. And a lot of people came. We have a lot of family. So my pain was still the same, like contractions were still the same. They didn't get worse or anything for a while. And then you know, I took a shower. I was on the yoga ball in the bath with the shower running on my back, and I was just bouncing on the ball. I was like walking and stuff, walking around, and I was just like, I wanted to walk. And then the pain got a little worse around 11 o'clock in the morning, but not too bad, but it got, you know, worse. And then I don't really remember everything much, but the pain got worse. Then they asked me, like, the doctors came in like, do you want us to check you now to see how far you are? And I'm like, no. Like, I didn't want them to check me because I was like, I don't want to be the same thing and it's just gonna get me so mad. So then I was like, nah. And then so around 12 o'clock they checked me. I was like, fine. And I was 9 centimeters, which was crazy. My heart dropped. I was like so shocked. I'm like, oh my god. So they're like moving things around in the room, like, you know, this can happen anytime. And they're like, well, I woke up my boyfriend, like, dude, like, we woke up my boyfriend, we're like, dude, I'm 9 centimeters, like, we were freaking out, like, you know, this can happen anytime. So then time went on, and yeah, like, it was hours still, and I still didn't have her. So I was like getting so impatient, and I just kept telling him, like, I can't do this, get her out, like, I want her out already. And I was like crying, and like the pain was pretty bad by now, but it, like, I don't know, like, to me it just wasn't the worst ever, but it was pretty bad pain. And like, I expected a lot worse, let's put it that way. And so yeah, then like my mom was trying to give me massages over my back, touching my shoulder, and I'm like, Mom, stop, like, get away from me, you're so annoying. And I feel so bad because, like, you know, I was like being so mean, but like at that point, like, I didn't want anybody to like just touch me, and I was just like so irritated with everything. Like, I know she wanted to help me, and I appreciate for that, and I feel so bad for, like, you know, being mean, but I just didn't want anybody to touch me. Like, the only person I wanted to like help me was my boyfriend. And so hours already, and then the doctors would just check on me and stuff like that, and it was just really nothing crazy. And then the pain started getting a little worse, and then like my contractions were still far apart, like they were still 7 to 8 minutes apart. They didn't get any like closer, and the doctors were like, oh my god, you know, like your contractions are still far apart. So they're like, you're lucky. But then they were thinking like they might have to do a C-section because they had to get her out. And then during like those hours they broke my water, and so I was like, you know, it's crazy, like we need to, like, they might need to do a C-section. And then what else happened, Melanie? And then so that happened, and I was just like, I don't want to do a C-section, like, can we just wait? I don't want to do it. And they're like, well, you know, we'll wait a little longer. I'm recording.
There's the baby. Hey, the baby.
Who's that?
Hey. What's up? I missed you. Huh?
Your hands are cold. A little bit longer, and then like a couple hours later, then they're like, okay, well, we need to induce you to like speed up the labor move so your contractions can be closer. Like, but when we do, they're gonna like come fast, like it's gonna be painful, you know, they're gonna just come right after another, right after another. So I was so scared. And then when I looked it up online when I was pregnant, they were like, a lot of girls said like it's like some of them said that when they induce you, it's a lot worse than going through the actual labor and stuff. So I was like scared, like, oh my god, like, no, I don't want to do that. Then they asked me like, you know, now is your last chance to get that epidural if you want that epidural. And I didn't want it, but then I was just like scared. I was like, I didn't want to feel everything, and like her, like, what if I rip and stuff like that. Like, I didn't want to feel all that. So I was just like thinking about it, like, maybe I'll just do it, like, because I just don't want to feel that part, and then the inducing is going to be a lot worse. So I was like, you know what, whatever, I'll get it. And and then I have scoliosis with, like, you know, back problems. So then they said it might not even affect you, like you might not even feel any of it, it might not work for you because of your back problem. So I was like, okay, well, I didn't really care much because like, well, if I don't really want it, so if it doesn't work, then that's good. So they're like, you know, we're just letting you know, whatever. So like, okay. So I got it, and you had to be like really still, whatever. And then so like, you know, it should be working soon, and like they had like a button where if I wanted to put more, then I can push the button and more will go into my body and it'll numb me more. So then like they're like, wait 15-20 minutes and then you can push the button or whatever. So like, okay. So I waited and I didn't feel anything, so I pushed it. Then I didn't feel anything still. I felt my right leg got numb, but other than that I felt everything else still. And then at this point, like I felt like the baby was down there, you know, so like her head was, like her hair was popping out and stuff, so it was just a lot of back pain, my lower back, and like it felt like I needed to take a big poop, like that's what it felt like. And then so pretty much the epidural only numbed my right leg, so everything, I felt everything everywhere else just except one leg. And then probably so around 12:30 or so, and then I was gonna, or no, the doctor said I had to stop pushing because then I was 10 centimeters, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember, wait, yeah, cause I don't remember when like they checked and then they just said it was time to push. Oh, like her head was popping out, or her hair was like coming out, so she was like, oh, ready to pop out. Mommy Lonnie, you're ready to pop out? So then yeah, the doctor said that I had to push, and then they said to push like you're taking a shit. That's what it felt like. It just felt like if I was like hella constipated for like ever, and I just needed to let it all out. So then I pushed, and I pushed for an hour. It didn't feel like that long though. So then I pushed for an hour, and then her head kept like going out and in. How did that feel when you seen all that?
I was like, whatever.
Didn't go too well?
Nah.
It was crazy though, because like her hair was right there, like you can just see it. And then what happened? I was pushing, and then yeah, like she popped out. I don't really remember like right before she popped out. I remember I pushed, but I don't remember exactly what happened. And then all of a sudden she's just there, and they like throw her on my chest, and it was crazy. And she's all purple, and then I was like so shocked to where like I couldn't even cry or anything. Like I was just like so shocked, like oh my god, like what the hell, like she's here. And she started crying. She was all purple and blue, and I was freaking out. I was like, is she okay? And she was fine. She was just crying. And then yeah, I was just like so shocked. Like I just kept like holding her. And then yeah, how did you feel when she came out?
I started crying.
But how did it feel though? Was it just like, oh my god?
Felt pretty intense.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. And then yeah, they cleaned her up, cut her umbilical cord. Then they weighed her, and she was 8 pounds 5 ounces, which was crazy. Big baby. And then yeah, that was pretty much what happened. They gave her shots and did all that stuff. Moved us to the other room, and then I tried to sleep, but I couldn't sleep. I didn't sleep for like 2-3 days, but somebody got sleep. Not me though. And then yeah,